a thing over the years that we were able to do that kind of was a niche for me that was good, and it was something that Dexter's had me do some teaching on before, and it's called how to promote and what you do in promoting. And I want to cover a couple of things with you this afternoon because it's not just a natural thing that you do. What happens is promoting is something that you can learn how to do if you know what it is. Some people get the word confused as to what really you're trying to do when you're promoting. What is promoting? Let me tell you what promoting is. And don't get shocked when you hear this, but let me tell you, promoting is selling. Okay? Now that's what it is. You can call it anything else you want to, but the bottom line, because Dexter had me talk about this, and I kept thinking, okay, where did I learn this stuff? Well, in the early days of the business, there were no tapes by business people. Listen, when I got into business, cassette tapes were just getting started. We used to have a reel-to-reel tape player that we listened to our tapes on, and there weren't but a few reel-to-reel tapes at that time. So anyway, the tapes that we listened to weren't business tapes. We listened to tapes by guys like Zig Ziglar, Cabot Roberts, Dennis Waitley. Well, Dennis Waitley wasn't even around at that time. But so the tapes that were out there were tapes made for real estate agents, for insurance people, and so they were selling type tapes, except one of the things was different. It wasn't a selling that you went out and you had a love them and leave them situation, and I call it a prostitute relationship with somebody, where that you go out, talk them into something, get the money, and you're gone. Okay, it wasn't that relationship. But our business was a business that was totally different. It was what you call a soft sell. Okay, and so promoting is a form of selling. For example, when you're showing the plan and you're trying to sponsor somebody, be honest, aren't you trying to sell them on an idea? Huh? Some of y'all are in shock. You're saying, sell, I'm never going to do something like that. Yeah, right? But hey, listen, let's face it, that's what it is. Well, let me tell you what, promoting is nothing but another word for selling. Now, if you like to use the word promoting better than the word sell, okay, you can use it, but you've got to understand what it really is. Now, what is promoting then? What are you trying to do? When you're promoting something, what you're doing is two things. You are educating and you're also motivating. That's what promoting is. Okay, now, if you go out here and you look at a person that's good in sales, let me ask you something. Is the clothing guy, John Michael, is he a good promoter? Huh? Is he a good promoter? Is he a good salesperson? Absolutely. They're the same thing, aren't they? Did he sell you on himself today? Okay, those of you that have seen him around several times, he resold you, didn't he? Okay, he's a good promoter. There is nothing wrong with that. He's good at what he does. Now, I'm not promoting him at all, but at the same token, he's good at what he does. So you learn from people like that. Well, what happens is this. When you start out in the business, most people, if you come from a background like I did, you're a school teacher or you're an engineer. All right? I got news for you. Engineers, people with technical backgrounds, normally are not good promoting type people. So what happens is you start out on base number one. First base of people in the business, and one of the first things that you want to learn about promoting is the first thing of the promoting and the first definition, and that is that you're an educator or that you're educating people. All right, so now what you do to begin with in your group is, if I want to find out if a person is going to start developing and becoming a promoter and can promote in their group, and here's what I found out. Until I get somebody in the group that can promote, I have to do it myself. So the first thing I'll do is this. When I'm starting a new group with new people, is I will go down and I will tell, let's say if I sponsor Joe and Mary in the business, okay, and we've got 2 or 3 distributors that they've sponsored in the business, what we'll do is I'll tell Joe, I say, Joe, listen, be sure to call your people this week and tell them about the seminar, or call your people and tell them about the open meeting next Thursday night. Now here's the typical call. Joe calls and he says, Bill, Rick said there was going to be an open meeting over at the Holiday Inn next Thursday night at 8 o'clock, and we ought to be there. Goodbye. All right? Now, that's the first step. Okay, now if that person does that, see, there wasn't a lot of emotion in that. All he did was kind of like the town crier going through and making an announcement. They made an announcement. But if I can get him to do that, that's step number one. That is passing on information. So I'd rather have somebody at least that passes on information. If you can only have one part of it, I'll take the one that passes on information. Okay? The second part of it is having and being able to motivate and do a little, what we call, the second part of promoting is a little motivation. Okay? Now, here's the difference. Okay? Bill, Rick just called, said there's going to be a meeting over at the Holiday Inn next Thursday night, the open meeting, and guess what? Peter Light is doing the plan. He's showing the plan. He's a diamond. And man, I tell you what, be sure to get your people there. I'm going to bring some people. You've got to bring some people with you. Now, is there any problem with you being there next Thursday night? Okay? Now, the second part of being a good promoter is adding some motivation onto it. Now, you can't add motivation onto it unless, listen to this, unless you are excited about what's happening. So one of the keys in promoting and being a good promoter is that you have got to be excited about what it is that you are talking about and promoting. Now, I will talk more about functions than anything else. I'll talk about how you promote functions. The reason that I'm doing that is that over the years of being in the business, I found out something that's very strange. And this is what it is. Distributors that don't attend functions are still prospects. Distributors that don't attend functions are still prospects. Anytime that you have a distributor that doesn't go to a function, they are not going to make it. All right, now this is important. If you can only learn how to promote one thing in the business, learn how to promote the activities, the functions. Okay? Because distributors that don't put themselves in the classroom to learn how to promote, to learn the business, will never make it. I have never, since I've been in this business, seen people that don't go to functions. And I'm telling you, I've seen people, I can go back through my list this past year. We've had groups that sponsored professional people in the business, semi-professional people, all kinds of people. They wouldn't go to a function. You know what? They're not doing anything right now. Losing a great opportunity. They were people that could have been involved in the opening of Greece, and we got hundreds of people over there getting ready to get in the business. And they could have been involved in that. They don't go to a function. They're not even in the business right now, doing nothing. Okay? Now, here's the thing about it. When you don't get people going to functions, then that wastes their time, but most of all, it wastes my time. The time that wastes the most is not necessarily theirs, but it wastes your upline's time. Now, so what happened? And you say, well, Rick, did you not promote the functions? I promoted as much as I could, but the people between me and them in the group didn't promote enough. All right, so what happens is that when you're promoting, learn how to promote functions. Okay, here's another thing in promoting. To be a good promoter, or let's put it this way, the best promoters, plan A.